lot of people come to me and ask me, hey, how come I'm losing money? I don't know what I'm doing wrong. How can I get back to profitability or consistency? Now, if you're struggling with these things when it comes to trading, but you kind of have an idea of strategies, it might be the mindset. And in this video, I want to break down a couple of things of where in the world is your mindset pointing to when it comes to your trading. Now, if you're brand new here, I'm Sasha, the options coach, and I coach people to trade options. Now, one of the things that I look at when it comes to people is when they're losing. A lot of times there might be a case where your compass, your dial is pointing in a weird or wrong direction, or it's giving you a little bit of sign of a little bit more of one versus the other. So for example, if we go in and just kind of take a look at an individual person, I've got a person that might be constantly scared of putting on trades. Well, if they're constantly scared of putting on trades, what this could mean is, let's say you're putting on a $50 trade and a $50 trade, and they're very tiny trades compared to, let's say, a $3 million account. And this can be an issue because what you're doing now is the income part of your portfolio, when you go in and you have money coming in, is very limited compared to when you get a loss. Sometimes it's very, very big or substantial. So this is where the disproportionate part behind the money coming in versus the loss is really driving you to have a little bit of problem because you're trading with fear or you're getting stopped out of positions. So again, a little bit of an issue. If I've seen parts where the greed side kicks in, this what happens here in those cases and scenarios is that a lot of people that have or trade with kind of like a greed mindset, they might put on, let's say, 10 contracts, another 10, another 10, another 10, and all of a sudden they put on too much contracts in one spot at one time. And now what you have is a lot of, let's just talk about put selling. Okay, so they're selling a bunch of puts. When this happens and then they are starting to get assigned on a lot of them, well, they put all of that position all at once because they're trying to make, hey, I got to make my $5,000 a week, or I got to make my $10,000 a month, or whatever the number is. You know, they have this number in their head. Like they're focused on an external goal rather than the process, rather than saying, hey, look, I'm going to do one contract every 5 hours or one contract every 3 hours. That way, you know, you get 2 contracts per trading day, and then you can build up into your 10 contracts, but it allows you to spread money over time. So if you're able to focus a little more on the process, it can alleviate some of this greed just by nature of, you know, timing yourself rather than putting on one big trade. You do one at a time. Then what it does is limit the amount of time you have, which means you can't trade as quickly. And it also means you can't concentrate risk as fast. But that's where the greed can create a big problem, is that when you have that concentration of risk, now you've got a big issue behind it. So if your compass is pointed towards the greed side, you might have seen some of those things. So we've got kind of like the fear and we've got the greed. What we really want to do is kind of hone in and focus a little more on the patience side and the discipline side. Now, in other cases, when you have patience and you're waiting for the trade, you might say this is the only thing you want. You know, you want to be patient, you want to be disciplined, but that's not always the case. I will say that I've seen some people that are just way too patient. It doesn't happen as often, right? Most of the time I see people in the fear or the greed side. But when I see somebody that's overly patient, what they're doing is they're looking for almost perfect setups. They don't have enough greed. And this sometimes can be, you know, in a weird way, counterintuitive, where, hey, that person is patient. They should be doing really well. But the problem is that they don't have enough greed inside of them to actually make trading work. So you have to have kind of this balance, right? So, and then when you have discipline, when you have too much discipline, like, right, you're, hey, I'm sticking to my rules, I'm sticking to my my criteria that I have to do. Well, you might not have enough fear sometimes while you're disciplined to saying, hey, I'm going to wait till this spot and then I'm going to get out. Well, really, in some cases, you should be getting out sooner. You should have more fear. So this way you're not waiting for your stop to get hit. So all of these things actually work hand in hand, but it's important to recognize what state of mind you're in. It's not that you'll have a full balance all the time, but it's kind of do a quick gut check. Am I kind of trading in a fear zone, a greed zone, a discipline zone, a patient zone? Look, if you're patient, okay, think about this and say, okay, how can I be a little bit more greedy? If you're kind of fearful, how can I be more disciplined? Or if I'm disciplined, how can I be a little more fearful or a little more greedy, right? So you can start looking at this and seeing what is the opposite or counter balance to this. If you look at the yin and the yang, symbol, you've probably seen it before, where you have something along these lines where you have kind of the balance equation where you have the dark side and you have the white side, where we're looking for the same thing. We're looking for a counterbalance to those things where, hey, if we have too much fear, may not be a good thing. If we have too much discipline, also not a good thing. But watch these states of mind that you might be in. And this is what drives profits and results to be a little bit better, especially if you can, from that outer perspective, see yourself like, hey, what mindset am I trading from? Am I trading from the fear mindset, the discipline mindset, the patience mindset, the greed mindset? I will say in most cases, I will see most people, out of the coaching that I've done over the last decade or so, and a lot of the classes here that we do. Let me see if I pull it up. Maybe don't have all the classes there, but all these classes here on our website, I get a chance to interact with people and chat with them. And a lot of times most people are going to be in kind of the fear mindset or the greed mindset. So watch yourself, watch how you approach those trades, and just kind of do a gut check of, where am I, what's my mindset like, what should I be more of, and how can I rebalance those things. Anyways, hope that helps. Truly appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Maybe I'll see you in one of my future live classes, or maybe we'll get a chance to chat on one-on-one in the future. Anyways, thanks again, and I'll see you next time.